Hey, everybody. Welcome to another superstar-filled episode of Fill in the Mic. I, as always, am Darrin Michael, and with me, the man, the myth, the legend, the Super J himself, Mr. Phil Calise.
What's going on? How you been?
I'm good. I'm good. So, when I call you Super J, is that for Super Jerk or Super Jackass?
You know what? We haven't gotten together in a couple weeks. Name calling is not something we do here on the Fill in the Mic podcast. We keep it, we keep it nice. We talk sports, have a little fun, and you're coming at me already. But that's okay. I'm live from the MLB studios. If you see the backdrop, so ready to do a little potpourri of baseball and see how good you've been this year.
No, I love that. I love that. There was one thing that I just wanted to tell you, besides the fact that I wanted to tell you that Aubrey finally turned 13, so she's a teenager now, which is exciting. But I actually had my final basketball warm-up prior to my first game on Tuesday, and I want you to know something. We played in some pickup games, some 4-on-4 pickup games, and I would say on the other team there was not even one guy that was even half my age. All right, so these guys were just really young. So super athletic. These guys just, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Not their play, but just unbelievable how much more athletic they were. But I got to tell you something. We held our own. We did good. It was four of us old guys, 44, 48, 52, and 53. We actually held our own with these guys. I think we actually won more than half our games. But the greatest thing about it was I actually walked off the court and I actually felt better than I felt walking off a basketball court in probably 30 years. No pains whatsoever. And I got all kinds of pains because, you get to be this old and you have pains constantly. No pains at all. So, man, I am excited. I talked to the girls and I will be able to provide some video evidence that we can actually break down my play. And you can let everybody know what a superstar I am not. So that'll be really interesting.
So do we owe your fitness, your health to the old Sunday Pilates? Is that what we owe it to? What do we owe the fact that you survived without tearing a hamstring, pulling any muscles? What do we attribute that to?
I don't know what it was. I even had a couple drives to the basket, and that's where I hurt my hamstring before. So there was nothing. I just felt good. I shot about 50% from three, which really amazed me, and I'm starting to get that shooting memory back. If I square up, I take a step,
the old muscle memory,
focus and release the right way. Yeah, it's there. So it's exciting. I cannot wait for the season to begin and see what happens. I think I can be a valuable contributor. At least I hope, but we'll see what happens.
So we're going to call you from now on Darrin Steph Curry Michael. Is that the name?
Well,
DSCM.
To be just in all fairness,
DSCM.
See, I don't want to do that because they already call him Steph Darrin Curry, so I don't want to. He's the original one. I don't want to take his name because then he'll be like, "Wait a second, I took your name. You're taking my name. That's not right." So I don't want to do that trade-off like that. So anyway, so I'm excited about that. But let's get into some baseball, man. Are we really a third of the way through the season already?
We are more than a third. Well, we're more than a third of the way season, unless you're the Mets, who are about 10 to 12 games behind the rest of the league. They're a third of the way season through. The rest of baseball is past the third, and I grew up always hearing announcers and sportscasters and MLB guys always say, you always take a temperature gauge of your team post Memorial Day. That's really the first time you take a look at how your team's doing, and you really get to assess a lengthy body of work. So, baseball is unique. We play over, 6 months. You play almost every day, and it's a very long season. So there's a lot of quick, split-second decisions or thoughts that are made about a team in April and May. But the truth of the matter is you got to get to Memorial Day, and then you get an idea of a baseball team. And for the most part, I think, and I went back and looked, and we'll go over it. We'll have some fun with it. I went back and looked at your picks, my picks,
Okay.
even the individual accolades as well as obviously the team predictions. And you know, it's a smorgasbord. We're a little all over the map. I think we lean more towards being accurate thus far than we look poorly.
Okay.
But real quick before we get into what we spoke about or what we predicted, let's just kind of go around the league. We'll start at the American League, and I'll go rapid fire. But you chime in. We'll go kind of division by division. I'll tell you where I think we were the most wrong, just in general.
Okay.
The most wrong is that through 60 plus games, the AL East looks like the best division in the American League by a healthy margin.
Yeah.
The Rays just they're like I don't know, David Blaine and like a magic act. Doesn't matter who they lose off the team, and I thought for sure losing Snell and Glasnow's still there, but they lost Snell, they lost Morton, which was 2/5 of the rotation. They don't spend any money.
No.
And you'd think eventually you take a Blake Snell off the rotation, you take a Charlie Morton off the rotation, and you think they can't just keep, getting back there. But through 63 games, they got a game lead on the maybe most surprising Boston Red Sox, who this is why fans, you can't overreact to opening day. They lost to not only the Orioles on opening day, they got swept to the Orioles at home. And after 3 games, Bostonians were ready to jump with their tea right into the Boston Harbor. And instead, 60 games later, they're a game out of first. They have a nice, healthy lead on a wild card. And the wildly, so far overrated Yankees are trailing pretty strongly. We both had them in the World Series. Not to say they can't get there, but it hasn't clicked on all cylinders. Their pitching has been a detriment. They wait to hit a 3-run homer. When they do, they're tough. When they don't, they're ugly. Their offense kind of stinks if they don't hit a 3-run homer. And their pitching's not great. And then your wild card prediction, Blue Jays are a scrappy team. They're holding their own, couple games over 500 in 4th place. So, the AL East looks deep. The AL Central's a little bit all over the map. You were dead on thus far picking the White Sox, and they look like they have a chance to maybe run away with that a little bit. I don't want to get into the other 4 teams in that division are kind of bleh. I mean, Cleveland's hanging around. Everybody else is ugh. And then, it's a 2-team race in the AL West. I had the Stros. I had the A's. You had the Stros. And they're going to battle it out all summer. Yep. Right now the A's got a game basically tied in the loss, but a game lead. It's close. For all those that hate on the Astros for the banging on the garbage cans, creating their own little whatever a couple years ago, I think we got to put it to rest. The Astros are good. They're a good team. They just are a good team. No more Garrett Cole. They don't have the greatest rotation. They can still hit. They're not doing any of the garbage can stuff anymore. They still score runs. They still got some good team. They still got good hitters. I think everybody kind of cool it. Maybe it helped them a little bit, but they're a good team for a reason. They're there every year. So I think the biggest surprise in general, and now I'll let you go and tell me, the Yankees are not running away with the American League. Maybe something clicks and maybe it turns around, and maybe when the playoffs come, they turn it up. But as of right now, I mean, they're not actually in the playoffs if it ended today, which is definitely the most shocking thing from the American League so far to me.
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you think?
I can't argue with that. I definitely think that the biggest surprise team obviously has to be the Red Sox. I mean, they were supposed to be maybe 500 this year. I mean, they're supposed to be decent, but to have the second best record in the American League and basically the second best record in baseball almost is pretty incredible, pretty amazing. But what's really stood out at me is the teams that were supposed to be just awful that are actually hanging around 500, like the Kansas City Royals. They have no business being 30-31 right now. I don't know if you've seen their roster. It's not good. They are not a good team. So they are, I mean, talking about overachieving, they are really, really doing some great things there. And Cleveland is another one that's really surprised me. I mean, they're 5 games over 500 right now, and they're the only team that even has a legitimate shot of challenging the White Sox. And I think they're going to fade also because I don't think Cleveland is really that good either. I mean, they've got. It seems like every time they have a great player, they get rid of them also. So, but it seems like you've got the Rays, you've got the Indians, you've got the A's, you've got the Astros. These teams that don't have the huge payrolls consistently are just winning games. I mean, they're just quality organizations. So I've been surprised about those teams, but in the end, maybe I shouldn't have been. But I think it's been a good third of a season so far, and I think there's a lot more good baseball to come.
And do we take just 10 seconds to say the worst team in the American League thus far, your Baltimore Orioles? Which
yeah,
I will like to throw my hand up and say I have the Orioles under 64.5 for the season. Yeah. Looking pretty good on under 64.5.
Yeah, I think that was a really, really safe bet on your part. And to be honest with you, as an Orioles fan, the only thing that we can hope for is to finish as the worst team in baseball so we get the number one pick. But unfortunately, the Diamondbacks are 2 games worse than we are, even after we lost 14 games in a row.
Are we calling it the Jack Leiter sweepstakes? Al Leiter's son, who's a dominant right-handed ace on Vanderbilt?
You know what? I've heard all kinds of things. There's also, Vanderbilt actually has 2 pitchers that might go in the top 5, or could go 1 and 2. I don't know. So
yeah.
You know what? I don't know, but this experiment of the Orioles is just going on forever. I mean, building the minor league and these. I mean, their team their pitching is so horrendous. I mean, their number 2 starter is Matt Harvey, whose ERA has now ballooned to almost 7.5. Okay, let's be honest. Okay. This guy should not be in the major leagues. He should not be in organized baseball anymore unless he's playing like a over 40 league when he gets to be 40. And you can't tell me that anybody that they bring up from AAA can sit in there that's not going to have a 7.5 ERA. I'm sorry, but that is the worst in baseball. And I said to my mom the other day, I said, I'm just waiting for this guy to get cut. He's just that bad. But anyway, enough of the
Orioles. There's three people that care about the Orioles, you, your mom, and the owner, and that's it. So, all right, let's go to so if the American League East turned out to be deeper than we thought and turned out to be perhaps the best division in the American League, we both agreed that the NL East would be the deepest, and it's clearly not lived up to that. Now, we also talked a little bit about, probably during the baseball preview show, would the NL East beat up on each other, perhaps making it not as good on paper. But I got to say, as someone who is a huge Met fan and has seen the Mets play all of these teams a few times, things have not clicked in the National League East like I thought it would. Off the top, let's start with the Mets, and not because I'm a fan. They're having a fantastic year. Not because they're 6 over 500. Nothing fantastic about that. Yep. They have 17 guys on the DL. They're playing without their whole lineup. I mean, they're just decimated with injuries. Carrasco, one of their big additions, has never pitched for them yet. Syndergaard has never pitched for them, and he's had a setback from Tommy John. He's probably not coming back now till the end of the season. McNeil, Conforto, you can go down the line. They've played without everyone. Nimmo, JD Davis. I mean, the whole nucleus, they've all been hurt. Yeah. So Alonso spent time on the DL. So the fact that they're 6 over and actually not a big lead, because again, we made fun of the fact that they're 10 to 12 games less. They've played 10 to 12 games less than almost everybody else because of weird situations. But they are in a position that if they can get healthy, they've survived without a lot of players. So I feel decent about the Mets' chances of winning the NL East. Yep. But I think why I feel the most decent is, for some reason, and Atlanta's been an excellent team for a while, things have not clicked in Atlanta this year. Their rotation has been very poor. Freeman, my main man, Freddie, has not had his typical season, while Acuna's had a great season. But they haven't put it all together where all of them are clicking. Ozuna might go to jail, so that's a problem.
That's true.
He's closer to going to jail than batting cleanup for the Braves. The Phillies are what they are. I remember saying something like they're kind of like a 500 team. They got a little good, a little bad, and they're playing exactly that. They're a game under 500. The upstart Marlins look like your typical COVID 60-game team. They made the
Yep.
playoffs last year, but 60 games isn't enough. And the Marlins are starting to show you why after you play 60 and you start playing more, you start to
Yep.
show your true colors. And the Nats, I mean, listen, I like a lot of what the Nats have on paper. They're 8 under. It hasn't been a good year. They've had
They're
their
playing
main
terrible.
pitchers hurt.
Yeah.
So,
they're awful this
listen,
year.
if the Mets can get healthy, you'd like to think they're in a fairly decent position because they've survived their worst injuries of the season. Upstart surprise to me is the Cubs in the NL Central.
Yeah,
I thought the Cubs were done. They played the off season like they were done. They didn't make any acquisitions. If anything, they let a few guys go.
Yep.
But they're off to a very good start, tied for first with the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
The Brewers are scrappy. We know the Brewers have been a playoff team for a while now. The Pirates and Reds, the Pirates are really bad. They're Oriole bad. The Reds are, the Reds are whatever. They're going to hang around, I suppose. They're not going to really ever be in contention. The Cardinals, they can wake up and play 20 over for a month and they'll win the division. That's the Cardinals. It's the brand in St. Louis. They're always in it. And then I think we go to the West where clearly 3 teams that are just playing phenomenal baseball.
Absurd.
And the only one that's I had the Padres. I had the Dodgers. You had the Padres. They're doing what we basically expected. It's the Giants that are throwing the wrinkle in the mix. I mean, unbelievable. 15 over. They're battling the Dodgers and Padres, so they don't have an easy schedule. They got to deal with these teams. Phenomenal start. I don't know if they're going to hold up, but they're 15 over with the best record in baseball right now, right? Or the second best. It's them or the Rays. It's them.
They're
best record in baseball.
The best. Yeah.
I mean, take it away, but it's the biggest surprise of the Giants so far.
I mean, listen, that is definitely. I think that is definitely the biggest surprise in baseball, bar none. But it's no surprise that the Dodgers and Padres are up there. I mean, the 3 top teams in the NL come out of the West, and I think we all saw that coming. I'll tell you what really surprised me more than anything, and that is, the Orioles have a unbelievable ability to find great pitching and not be able to develop it, and then let it go, and then it goes somewhere else. Did you know Josh Hader, the stud receiver from Milwaukee, he averages like 17 strikeouts per 9 innings. Do you realize that he was drafted by the Orioles?
I did not.
Of course, of course they let him go. So they let everybody go. But again, the biggest surprise right now is Kevin Gausman. And it's unbelievable what this guy has done, because he was I think he was the overall number 4 pick in his draft, and he was just such a stud coming into the minors. But here's where he is right now. All right, this is a guy whose career averages are like, he wins maybe 10 games. His ERA is like 4.5. The guy is 7-0. He has 10 quality starts in 77 innings. He struck out 93 guys, so he's averaging 10.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. His WAR is 3.6. His WHIP is 0.76, and his ERA is 1.27. I mean, this is a guy that has no business dominating like he has been dominating. I mean, he's literally been unhittable. It's like he went out for dinner. He went out to dinner with Jacob deGrom before the season started.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob, what's the secret? He gave him all his secrets, and now Kevin Gausman is trying to be Jake deGrom, and he's having an unbelievable season, and so he is by far and away, I think, the most surprise player this year on the most surprising team. But I'll tell you something. You make a great point with your Mets, because they have no business being 6 games over 500. Let's be honest. I mean, with the amount of injuries, the team is talented, and we both talked about how talented the Mets are. On paper, they really have a good team. That owner is doing some great things. But looking at what they've gone through, the resilience, I mean, as a Mets fan, you must be so excited when these guys start coming back healthy as to what the rest of your season is going to look like, especially with how bad the NL East has become this year.
Yeah, and you know what? So the Mets, you can sum up in a nutshell. You pull up 3 pitcher stats, and you could see why the Mets are staying afloat. Marcus Stroman's been great. Taijuan Walker has been phenomenal. Picked him up like at the end of the free agency period. And then my man, who I predicted to not only win the Cy Young but the MVP, is actually right now on his way to taking both crowns. Jacob deGrom's numbers are stupid even for Jacob deGrom. And if he could stay healthy, he could set records this year. That's how good the numbers are. You could read them off, but they're just, and he actually missed a few starts because he went on the DL for a couple starts. His numbers are just absurd. They're just absurd.
Yeah. And a matter of fact, I am going to read some of his numbers because what he is doing, I mean, it used to be all about the wins, right? And now you just don't see that anymore. I mean, the guy is 5-2, but he is the first guy. Let's just talk about how he ended May. All right, he ended the month of May with a 0.7 ERA, which is the lowest since 1964. And actually, his ERA has gone down to 0.62 right now, which is unbelievable. He had 82 strikeouts with 7 walks, and he's actually I think he's up to 93 strikeouts with 8 walks. So he's really moving that in the wrong direction. Coming on his first start coming off the injured reserve. Okay, let's listen to this. He threw 27 pitches that hit 100 miles an hour. All right, that is absurd in itself. Since 1913, one player has had a better 8-game stretch than he has. And this was 8 games, 90 strikeouts, a .53 ERA in 51 innings. And that was Chris Sale in 2018. I'm sure you remember that time where he was just virtually unhittable.
Yeah.
That was that 8-game stretch. But the thing that really excites me about Jacob deGrom is not only are opponents batting 129 against him, but he's batting 450 himself.
He can hit.
So
he can hit.
This guy is, I mean, this is a season, if he can somehow keep this up, and I don't see how he can, but if he can stay healthy and put up, I mean, you're talking about, this guy could have a Bob Gibson type year. What did Bob Gibson, his ERA, I think it was 1.18 for an entire season back in, I want to say 68 when he won, I think he won the MVP that year too. You're talking about a guy that's doing something historically that we have never seen before. And whether you like the Mets or hate the Mets or whatever, you got to respect what this guy is doing. He is just unfriggin' believable.
Yeah, and for those that want to catch, I mean, we're coming to you on a Friday on June 11th. So if in about 4 hours, Jacob deGrom takes the hill against the Padres and Blake Snell. So if you have a little time tonight, that's a heck of a June matchup, just to get you a little excited. That offense against deGrom and Blake Snell in the mix, that's pretty good. So real quick, we'll have some fun. These were your predictions. You had Acuna for MVP, looks really good. You had deGrom for Cy Young, looks like a winner. Yep. You have Garrett Cole for Cy Young, also very, very good pick. And you have Mike Trout for MVP, which looked great, and then he took an injury. And so he still has a shot, but the injury is going to hurt him. If we go to my picks, I went with Bieber just because I can't pick a Yankee, I guess, but not really because I look wrong there right now. He's been fine, but he hasn't been dominant. I went with Aaron Judge for MVP, and I remember saying on the podcast, I think he's going to stay healthy for a season. He might win MVP this year. He's got like 18 homers, and he's having a big year.
He's played well.
And then I went with the deGrom times 2. So we'll see. That would be a nice little prediction if I hit that one. So we'll see. But over-unders, remember doing over-underers?
I don't even want to talk about those, please.
Well, listen, no, not
All
so
right,
bad.
Let's hear it.
That's not. It's actually pretty bad for you. Pretty bad. You have you have the Yankees over 95.5. I mean, not great so far. They could turn it on though. That's not an L. That's not an L for you. Right. You got the Nats over 84.5. That's looking pretty crappy, bro. That doesn't look so good.
Oof, that's rough.
You got the Rockies under 63.5. Yeah, I could see that. They're pacing around there.
That's possible.
And then you have the Mets under 90.5, which right now they are pacing under, but if they get healthy, they could tick over. But that one, you might be okay there.
We'll see.
You might be looking at like a 2-2.
Maybe.
I feel pretty good about mine. I said earlier I had the O's under 64.5. That looks like a slam dunk. I got the White Sox over 90.5. That feels good.
Oh, God, that's a great one.
Oh, I'm sorry. The White Sox under 90.5. That's my loss. That looked bad.
Yeah, the White Sox look tough.
Yeah, I got the Pods over 94.5. I feel like they will get there.
Yeah,
and I
it
got the
looks pretty
Cards
good.
over 85.5, which I think the Cards will get there. They're not. They're kind of right on the fence right now.
They're like you mentioned earlier, they're an end of the season team. They always put it together the last 2 months.
If you leave the Cardinals hanging around, I promise you they'll take whatever you leave them.
Yeah,
That's the way the Cardinals are.
You never want to do that.
You don't leave them hanging around. So fun baseball season in store. And we didn't even get to the scandals, which maybe we'll do next time, between the who's got the sticky stuff on their hands, who's accusing the MLB of like manipulating baseballs during certain free agency classes.
Yep. I
mean,
about
there's some stuff slinging around. So we'll probably get to that next time. But that's some wild stuff going on there. I think the moral of that story is they're headed for a lockout.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. It's good stuff. And the baseball season has not at all been disappointing. But I'll tell you what has been disappointing this year, and that is LeBron James. And
good segue.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna do a little intro, and then we're gonna talk about this a little bit, because you and I were talking the other day, and the one question that I asked, and I think we'll talk about it in a second, was does his behavior change his legacy? And I think that's a really good question that we should talk about. And just so many things have happened. I mean, 5 minutes left in the game last week, his playoff game, and he was in the locker room. He wasn't even out there with his team. His that police shooting, his "you're next" tweet. I mean, I thought that was pretty crazy. He violated protocol by attending an outside event. No suspension, no fines, yet everybody else in the league is getting fined and suspended when they do things like that. His dramatic flops are just enough is enough, and his crying like a little baby, his outspokenness, his making fun of that bar owner that had a gripe against him, his China ties, I could go on and on and on. His criticism of the play-in tournament, it's the fact that the NBA is just making all their decisions through LeBron James just really, really annoys me. And I'm going to pass it over to you, but I personally believe that his behavior does change his legacy as a basketball player. But I want to hear your views on the subject.
Oh, we should have put a chyron below you as you were talking. LeBron hater, LeBron hater, LeBron hater, LeBron hater.
I am a LeBron hater. I can't argue with that. I am a LeBron hater.
I try to separate LeBron the player and LeBron the person. I'm not a huge fan of LeBron the person. He does some good things charitably, with schools and different things. I'm sure he does some nice things. Not a big fan of all the outspoken nature of things, because I don't think he's right on a lot of his issues. And I don't think he really takes the time to understand a lot of what he ends up speaking about, which I'm not fond of. I am going to ding him for what he did on the basketball court, walking off 5 minutes to go. That's a problem. It's a problem. To me, it's not legacy defining, but it's a problem. It's a nice little knock on him that people that don't like him will use against him, and I understand that. Nothing defensible about it. I don't like the criticism of the play-in stuff, because the play-in tournament, first of all, it was very successful. It's being creative. The NBA prides itself on being a little different, trying to come up with wrinkles, and we've been talking about this for 100 years. The NBA regular season, nobody cares about. So the play-in tournament is a way to protect the regular season and make teams that don't want to fall below 6 have to fight to finish out the season. And it gives the teams just outside the 8 seed a little way to sneak in. And it should reinvigorate extra fan bases that wouldn't normally be in anymore. And it maybe stops some of the garbage tanking that goes on and all the resting. And you know what? Too bad. Like, you just happen to fall into the 7 seed and had to play your way in, and they did, and then they went out, but that's fine. It's like, enough, dude. Like, I'm not a fan of that, because I'm not a fan of it because it actually helps the sport, and the sport needs a boost in the regular season. It's not a good regular season product to me, just because too many games and none of them seem to count. So that's my take on that. LeBron, we talked about this. He's got 10 finals appearances. He's 4-6, not the greatest record, but he's lived in the finals. He's an all-time great. He is. I mean, that's it. Leave him alone. Listen, he says too much stuff, but outside of that, he's great.
he is an all-time great, but I will never, ever, ever be able to put him in the category of Michael Jordan. You know,
I hear you.
he is. I think at the end of the day, I think LeBron is selfish. I don't think he is the ultimate team player. I think that his talent has taken him to all those championship games. And I'm not going to say that he is not an unbelievably talented guy. He is. He is ridiculously talented that he can take a team and carry them on his back. But he can't do it the way that Jordan did. You look at Jordan, one of, I think, the greatest things that he did was he made everybody around him better. And yeah, he had Scottie Pippen, which is great. It's always great to have a number two, one of the 50 greatest players ever. But look at what he did. He had guys like Bill Wennington. He had guys like Steve Kerr, John Paxton. These guys came up in these situations, and they always knew how to perform. They knew what to do to get the job done. And that's because of Jordan. Jordan pushing everybody. And he wasn't sitting there crying like a little baby. This is a guy that I mean, LeBron doesn't even play defense. And I realize he's 36 years old. But Jordan was a tenacious defender and offensive threat. I mean, this guy had the complete game. He's not as big as LeBron James, but just a different guy, different motivation. And I can never ever put LeBron James in the same category of a lot of guys, a lot of those all-time greats.
We'll have to do some debates. We'll have to bring back the 5-minute debate segment show, because I don't totally agree with you, honestly. I think they're extremely different players because of how they're built, the eras they played in, and all the rest.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say to you is you could easily drop LeBron James in the 80s and 90s, and he would still be an incredibly great player. His physical size would be a problem for all those guys. So I think he's not the guy that you say, well, he wouldn't be able to play in this era. Like, people from the 80s and 90s era always like to say it's a tougher era. They played tougher defense. But the guys today are wildly more athletic. Let's face it, Charles Barkley would get his crap handed to him at 6'5" in this era because he's not super quick and he's really short, and every forward is 6'9" now. So, like, I don't love to play that game because you played in the era you played in, and you adapted to the era you played in. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, Karl Malone didn't need to be quick, because Karl Malone was able to put 275 pounds down low on the box and be a low post pick and roll guy, because that's what the era called for.
No, I'm not arguing.
But Karl Malone could have probably been 240 and ran fast too if he needed to, if it was today's era. So, like, I kind of, I try not to move across eras.
I don't disagree. I just don't think that he is. I don't think that he deserves all of the respect and accolades that he gets, because I think that there's more to it than just being a one player selfish team. But anyway, something else that I want to talk, and this I think is going to be a little bit of a debate, and that is with the NFL and players being in control. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of bring two guys to the forefront, and this didn't usually happen way back when, and I know it happened with who was it? Like Eli was kind of the first big guy, or no, was it no, John Elway? John Elway was the first like big name that did this. But Julio Jones and Aaron Rodgers, right? Julio Jones demanded a trade, and they traded him. Aaron Rodgers is demanding to get out of Green Bay. They don't want to trade him. They think that they're going to be able to hold on to him, but in the end, he's going to force their hand. I mean, that's just the way that it is. So the question for you, and I think this could be a healthy debate, is because I think our views are going to be different here. Do you think that the players are right in doing that? Julio Jones, who's under contract, Aaron Rodgers, who's under contract, do they really have a leg to stand on?
Well, I do think when you say like they demanded a trade and got it, the team doesn't have to trade anybody.
No, they don't.
Like,
but they
if you're
do.
but that's not necessarily, like, if a player asks to be traded or holds out or becomes an issue and then the team gives in and trades them. I mean, I don't love that tactic, but at the same time, the team could hold on to him. And I don't think the Packers are trading Aaron Rodgers. Like, I think if your value is as high as Aaron Rodgers, he'll be an interesting test case, because I really don't think the Packers are going to trade him, because aside from a straight up Russell Wilson for Aaron Rodgers trade, or if Deshaun Watson's legal situation got straightened out, a
Luck.
Rodgers for Watson trade, like something where it's quarterback for quarterback, high athlete, high talent for high talent, you can't make a fair trade. You could trade you could trade 3 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers, but the Packers may not ever get anything near Aaron Rodgers in return. So, do I think it's fair? I mean, again, do I also think the NFL is a little bit unique because do I think it's fair when guys get 5-year, $90 million deals with $28 million guaranteed and get cut after year 2? That's fair. Like the NFL is a tough sport where a lot of the money isn't guaranteed. So I do empathize more with the player in the NFL than the NBA, MLB, NHL player where all the money's guaranteed.
That's right. And you know what? I have a real big problem with everything. I like the non-guarantee, but I like the non-guarantee in all sports. I mean, this is going from a guy that signed Chris Davis to a 7-year contract at $23 million a year, and he's not even playing baseball. So, I don't like the guarantee contract, but I come from more of an ownership perspective, and that is, it's like the owner's the boss. Guess what? The owner can do whatever they want. They own the team. They run how things are. And that's, it's kind of like in the business world, I mean, you can't just go up to your boss and be like, yeah, you know what? You suck. I don't like what you're doing. I want you to, trade me to this other division. I want to leave. It's like, you that's not how the world works. And so honestly, I have a real problem with Julio Jones and Aaron Rodgers acting the way that they have. But like you said, contrary to that, and I think you've even changed my mind just doing this, when you're in a situation where you don't have the guaranteed contracts, then it's a little bit of a different game. So I think I would excuse that more. I think the NFL definitely needs to change some things. And, and I understand why they don't, because the shelf life of an NFL player compared to the other sports is just so ridiculously low. And the chances of being injured severely, I mean, you take an NFL player who gets hit all the time versus a baseball player who, they play 162 games, but, they're not getting tackled by a 300-pound, mammoth. So it's definitely different. And I think when you have guys that are behaving like that, I think that it just means that the whole system is broken and something needs to give. There's something going on here that needs to change. And I don't know what that is, but I don't like it. I just don't like how it is. I don't like the fact that guys can just be cut at any time. I mean, do it for all sports. That's what I would love.
There's too much, like there's so much money being paid to players in the NBA.
That's right.
And you know what? It's like, it is a little bit out of control. Major League Baseball, I mean, these guys get hurt so often. Yep. I mean, listen, nobody's putting a gun to the owner's head to tell them to sign these guys. So I can't, if you can get it, you can get it. Look, the Mets owner paid Lindor $340 million. It looks awful right now, and it's year 1. So these deals mostly look awful. They mostly come back to bite you. And people say, stop signing people to 7, 8, 9 year deals. And they do it every year because it just takes one owner who feels the heat and needs to try to win and is, whatever. So I don't love it. I don't love the guarantees, but you're never getting the guarantees away. The NFL needs to fight for more guarantees, but I don't know if the unions are going to get it in the NFL because of the nature of the sport.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but you know what? We got a short episode today. I want to talk about 3 things real quick, and I just want your thoughts on them, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody. Do you know what league the Edmonton Eskimos play in?
Is that Canadian Football League?
Canadian Football League, that's correct. They have decided that Eskimos is a very, very bad word. And so they have officially changed their name from the Edmonton Eskimos to the Edmonton Elks. Good or bad?
Stupid.
Or don't care. Yeah, okay, good. And the Indians are coming next because that's offensive too.
They're going to be the Spiders, I heard.
They used to be the Cleveland Spiders way back when like Cy Young was. I think Cy Young was on the Cleveland Spiders, I want to say.
Because if Cleveland wasn't ugly enough, let's put the Spiders all around. Cool.
Yeah, I know, right? You know what though? I bet the logo would be pretty cool though. I think I've seen the old Spiders logo and it looks pretty cool. What do you think about this in the Olympics? 10,000 volunteers have dropped out. How bad is that gonna hurt the Olympics?
I don't know, man, but I hear that the everyday citizens in Japan are not happy with the Olympics. So this is gonna be an interesting 6 weeks.
Yeah,
There's like a 2% vaccinated country, so let's bring the whole world in there. That's gonna be interesting. I don't know. You'll never notice it when the NBC broadcast comes on. It'll look perfect.
Oh, of course. Of course. What else is new? They're probably going to, but the thing is that, there's so many people from around the world. They could literally just show pictures of anybody at any sporting event and get away with it, even if the stadium is completely empty, because there's people from all over the place. But anyway, last but not least, this is something I thought was pretty cool. But Chris Hogan, the ex-Patriot/Jet wide receiver, out of the College of Monmouth, down by you, at 33 years old, he actually tried out for a professional lacrosse team, and he actually made the team. This guy was a lacrosse.
Hell yeah, he made the team. He's
beast.
An NFL player. Yeah.
Well, no, but he's a lacrosse beast. He was a lacrosse beast, I guess, in college. And after his NFL career is done, he said, you know what? I want to try to play professional lacrosse. And sure enough, he made the team. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think you'd probably agree with
that. That is cool. Heck yeah. And I could totally see that. Every NFL player at between the age of 30 and 35, when their NFL career goes away, should immediately become the best lacrosse player in their state.
Good luck.
Come on, man.
Lacrosse,
these guys are all jacked. They're the best athletes when they step on the lacrosse field, for sure. Come on.
Yeah, but you still have to be able to use a stick and catch a ball and throw and pass. And dude, that's not easy. That's not. You ever played lacrosse before?
Never once.
Okay.
But I think I think I could drop
really
Julian Edelman right now on a lacrosse field. He will dominate inside of 4 weeks of practice.
You know what, we need to get a lacrosse player to come on this show and tell us how difficult it is, because it is
Tyreek
not as easy.
Tyreek Hill run in circles. People won't even see him on the field. He could dribble. He could dribble the ball on the ground the whole way as he just like a little panther running across the screen.
Okay, again, you're showing your knowledge. I don't know how much dribbling is done in lacrosse, but okay.
Well, I was giving him the fact that he can't hold the ball. He's a mess. The thing keeps coming out. He just could kick it there.
You just kick it all the way down the field. All right, what?
You're too fast.
Oh, all right, man. Good episode, man. A little quicker than usual, but a lot of great things. There's a lot more good stuff coming up next time. I think we got a little more baseball to talk about. I want to talk about some Olympics and some interesting sports. I also want to talk about football and the fact that these leagues keep popping up. I now heard that the USFL is coming back next season. So wanted to get into that a little bit. And also I know Coach K announced that he's retiring. So I want to look back on his career a little bit and talk about whether or not we think he's one of the best coaches of all time, which obviously he is. But that's about it. So great show as always, my friend.
Good to get back at you. It's been a few weeks. I know you had a business trip. We had a couple things going on. I'm knee deep in end of baseball season or all-star season. So enjoyed getting back with you a little bit, and we'll try to make it a little more regular now going forward.
Sounds good. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Phil and the Mic. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.